Welcome back to my channel. You already know it's your boy Hood Diggity, the Rock Reactor, back with another video. Yes, sir. Before I proceed, let me know where you tapping in from. Let me know what country, what city, what mountain, what hill, what cave, what island, what planet, what universe. Let me know where you at. Represent your hood, yes sir. A world of love to my Ukraine, an abundance of peace to my Ukraine. As I stand with God, I stand with Ukraine, yes sir. Now, I got this from CNN. I usually look at the source, guys, because there is a lot of fake news. So I always just go by either CNN, Fox, or something. There was one time on this channel that I was reacting to some news that I wasn't sure if it was real or not. But this time I'm trying to make sure. Now, if I ever make the mistake, remember, I'm a human being. Please let me know. No, listen, that's fake news. Let me know in the comments that's not true or whatever. But on this one, I believe this is good news. Zelensky says that Ukraine will refuse to concede territory to Russia as peace talks press on. Guys, I don't like Trump's peace plan, guys, at all. At all. I believe that Ukraine should look for all the alternatives, wave it out, because I believe that's the same thing as a surrender plan. It's the same thing. So I believe they should wait it out. I think Zelensky has a lot on his plate, a lot to think about, and he should just wait it out. But let's take a look at this one. Zelensky says Ukraine will refuse to concede territory to Russia as peace talks press on. And before we do, guys, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, hit the like button. Any donations to my channel will be greatly appreciated. My PayPal account is on the screen. Let's get it.
Breaking overnight, President Trump declaring in a new interview, Ukraine is, quote, losing. Trump's comments to Politico that Russia is in a stronger position came at a key moment in the negotiations to end the war in Ukraine. And as Ukrainian President Zelensky is stating clearly that Ukraine is not willing to concede land to Russia.
If this deal, if Zelensky rejects this deal, like, is there a timeline? Is there a point at which you say, okay?
Well, he's going to have to get on the ball and start accepting things. You know, when you're losing, because you're losing.
Joining us now is CNN Global Affairs analyst Brett McGurk. Is this a clear sign that Trump is sticking with the U.S. plan that would force Ukraine to give up some territory? He's gone after you, the president of Ukraine, a couple of times in the last couple of days.
Yeah, Sarah, you know, progress has been made in this negotiation. There's a framework for what the end of the war can look like. But on the key issue of territorial concessions, there has been no progress. And it's kind of an error in diplomacy to keep pressing a matter when you know progress can't be made. And right now on this issue of territory, things are stuck. The president seems to have in his mind that this territory is going to be taken by Russia in any case, so Ukraine might as well basically sue for peace and take a deal. But, you know, we're in the fourth year of this war, and the Russians have not been able to take this territory in the Donbass. It's called the Fortress Belt for Ukraine. It's their most defensible territory. They consider it critical to the defense of their country going forward. So I actually think the assumption is the reverse. I think, you know, Russia actually cannot take this land without enormous costs and over a period of years. That's according to a UK intelligence assessment. But in diplomacy, there's always assumptions you make. The president seems to assume, again, that Russia is going to take this territory militarily, therefore Ukraine has to concede. I actually think the opposite assumption is right, and therefore the formula, you put this framework together, the formula on land is freeze where you are now and stop the war and end the war, which you all want. So this is the key issue of territory. It seems to be stuck. I mean, I think the best play here is to support the Ukrainians through the winter and then in the spring return to the negotiating table. Putin always thinks winter advantages him.
That's a very good option, at least through the winter. See, I think Trump he is overlooking a lot of things. Just basically, he's blinded. Either he's blinded or he's blinded with greed. He's blinded with the fact that he just wants that trophy because he stopped the war. But he is not looking that Ukraine is getting the short end of the stick. Ukraine is basically just losing. How is Ukraine supposed to give them territory that they haven't even seized yet? I don't know, guys, but this is not looking good. I don't like this at all.
He tries to break his opponents in the winter. This is the fourth winter. It's a difficult winter for Ukraine, but Putin is not going to pick up this land militarily. And in the spring, there might be another opportunity for diplomacy. But right now, it appears to be very stuck, Sarah.
Yeah. And meantime, the war is ongoing and people are suffering through it there in Ukraine. I do want to ask you about comments that Trump also told Politico when it comes to how he views NATO and whether a message of tough love is being sent to them. Listen.
NATO calls me daddy. I mean, I have a lot to say about it. Look, I raised, the GDP from 2% to 5%. The 2% they weren't paying and the 5% they are paying. And they're paying it because when we send things over, NATO pays for it, and I assume they give it to Ukraine. But Europe is being destroyed.
I guess I just need to ask you a couple of questions. What do you think he means by Europe is being destroyed and that NATO calls him daddy?
Well, Sarah, look, America's comparative advantage in the world against countries like China or Russia are allies, our web of alliances, and central to that is Europe and NATO. And yeah, the Europeans are difficult to deal with. It's hard for them to make decisions. Sometimes they act collectively through the EU. That's because of the history of Europe and two world wars. Right. I mean, these are arrangements they've put together. I don't think that that kind of, unless the president has some aim here, he's trying to get the Europeans to do something specifically. It is tough love. If it's really America kind of walking away from Europe because we don't like where certain countries' domestic politics are heading, I think that's a very dangerous signal, not only for Russia and Putin, but also for Xi Jinping and China. Who, Xi Jinping and China, he will be making his own calculations about Taiwan, which would be a cataclysmic conflict that we have to do everything we possibly can to deter. And he has said he wants his military to be ready by 2027. So we could be heading into a much more dangerous world here, and we're going to need our allies. We're going to need our allies, particularly NATO and the Europeans.
Brett McGurk, you always have great.
I think the fact that Trump thinks that that United States to survive on its own altogether, I think is a bad decision, guys. Every country needs allies. Every country needs commercial relationships. And from him to be breaking away from NATO and breaking away from Europe, I think is a bad decision. I think it's going to come back and bite him in the ass.
Analysis. I really do appreciate you coming on and talking us through all this. Let us now go to Miss Kira Rudik, who is a member of Ukraine's parliament after hearing all these things. I do want you to listen to Trump's new comments where he talks directly about your president. Here's what he said.
If this deal, if Zelensky rejects this deal,
Yeah.
like, is there a timeline? Is there a point at which you say, okay?
Well, he's going to have to get on the ball and start accepting things. When you're losing, because you're losing.
What does it mean to you to hear that during this peace process, the President of the United States is attacking your president and European allies, but not Russia or President Putin?
Hello, Sarah, and thank you so much for having me. It is indeed painful because I'm sure it's not only American people who are watching this. There are people fighting at the front line, risking their life for democracy, for Europe, who are hearing such a harsh thing from President of the United States, one of our strongest allies, and it's just simply not true. It tries to be a self-fulfilling prophecy, but it never will. And really, our answer is to ask President Trump to start pushing pressure onto Russia and not only on Ukraine. What is disappointing, what is so painful, that since he came into the office, he was only pressuring Ukraine for a peace deal that doesn't seem to actually be working and be a workable thing. However, we only hear promises to start putting pressure on Russia. Ukraine is not a problem here, and there is no other nation than Ukrainian that wants this war to end, because it's our people who are being killed every single day and night at the battlefield and in the peaceful cities. However, if we stop fighting, there will be no Ukraine. If Russia stops fighting, there will be no war and there will be actually peace. And how is it that it's all so reversed?
She said it. If Ukraine stops fighting, there will be no Ukraine. There will be no Ukraine, not just losing the little territory that they've taken. There will be no Ukraine because they'll take it over. And you know what? After that, it's gonna move. They're gonna move on to other countries. It's what I believe people like Trump need to start looking at the big picture. This is not gonna end in Ukraine.
Stop fighting, there will be no Ukraine. If Russia stops fighting, there will be no war and there will be actually peace. And how is it that it's all so reverse? And in the speech, I just really cannot understand and cannot explain it to people in Ukraine. So we just hope that this is just yet one of the tactics that President Trump is known to be using to put pressure on Ukrainian side. However, we do not see any workable deal right now, and we just cannot understand what is expected from Ukraine, especially in this public space.
Yeah, you say that you cannot see, as far as Ukrainian perspective, cannot see any workable deal right now. I do want to talk about President Zelensky's comments where he said, look, Ukraine has no legal right constitutionally or internationally to give up any territory. Are there any lawmakers, such as yourself in Ukraine, who say they are willing to give up some territory in order to end the war that Russia started?
From my perspective, I do not know anyone who would do that. However, let's reverse this question. What would be the security guarantee? What would be the guarantee that Russia would not attack us again if they are stopped right now, if we agree to any sort of the deal right now? So we hear only the questions, what would Ukraine give up? And are there territories that we are willing to give up? But we do not hear the most important thing is, okay, so but what would be a way that we would know that this war would not repeat itself? Because right now, the only way we see is that Russia will continue fighting. They may stop for a year or two, wait for the sanctions to be lifted, regroup, rest, and then attack us again. If we learn something since 2014, when they attacked us for the first time, this is their strategy and it did not change at all. So what we are asking of our allies, like, how is this time going to be different? Who or what will make sure that Putin will keep his part of the bargain? And that's the most complicated question that nobody wants to answer right now. And everybody just wants to pressure Ukraine and see if we are ready to badge here and there. Well, we did not choose to capitulate in 2022. We are not choosing to capitulate right now. Situation is indeed very hard, but President Trump was wrong saying that we didn't have any cards, and I still believe that we still have some.
I can hear the frustration in your voice as you're hearing these words from the president about your president, about the country. In the meantime, I know that there are people in Ukraine who are experiencing the worst times ever in their lives as the war continues there unabated. Kira Rudik, thank you so much for coming on and discussing this with us.
Guys, I hate to say it, but it seems like Trump is trying to throw Ukraine under the bus, guys, for the sake of keeping a good relationship with Putin. Trump's relationship with Putin is very, very, very suspect, guys. I have to speak the truth. It's too suspect, and I think that there's a lot they're not saying. There's a lot that they're not saying, and it's just Trump. I don't think Trump cares too much about Ukraine, and Trump is not looking at the big picture. Trump is not seeing the fact that this is an invasion. And in that peace plan, they're not even considering the fact that that Putin is basically not gonna have any accountability for all the war crimes, and it's just sending a message to the whole world that it's okay to invade a country and then take its territory, and that's it. At the end of the day, you're gonna go ahead and negotiate. They're doing it to Ukraine tomorrow. They might do it in my country. They're doing it to Ukraine today. They might do it in my country tomorrow, guys. That's the way I'm seeing the whole thing. Guys, you already know, man. Subscribe to my channel. Hit the notification bell. Hit the like button. Any donations to my channel will be greatly appreciated. My PayPal account is on the screen. Love you, Ukraine. Peace, love, and God bless.